This is Lenny Farlee, Purdue University Extension Forester. Now let's ID that tree.
On this edition of ID That Tree, rather than tackle just one species, we're going to talk about a very significant and diverse group of trees across the state of Indiana, and that's the oaks. From north to south across Indiana, we've got about 18 different species of oaks you might encounter, and so it does present some challenges in terms of identification. However, if we use a few clues, we can help ourselves in separating these species into some recognizable groups. One of the things we can do is look to see whether we're finding trees in the two large groups of oaks, and that's the red oaks versus the white oaks. And on this sheet, we've got some of our red oak species across the state. We can recognize red oaks. First off, with the leaves, on the ends of the lobes, typically we find a little hair-like structure or bristle tip. And so we can see that on the very ends of the lobes of these leaves, there's a long extended little hair or bristle tip that separates the red oaks from the white oaks. Now you can see there's quite a bit of variation in the shape of each of these leaves. And in fact, on the right-hand side, we've even got one species that has no lobes at all, and that's shingle oak. However, if we look at the very tip of the leaf, we can see that it still has that little bristly hair that identifies this as a member of the red oak group. Red oaks bear their acorns and require 2 years for them to mature. And so we might find actually 2 generations of acorns on one of the members of the red oak group. We also have those bristle tip leaves, and typically the bark on the red oak group is darker than we typically find on the white oak group. From left to right here, we have pin oak, which is a bottomwood species. We can see that the acorns are relatively rounded, dark in color, and they have a cap that sits on the top of the acorn that has very tightly pressed scales. Next is black oak. This is a species of high dry sites. And one of the great identification characteristics for black oak is the striping running vertically on the acorn itself. And then the outside edge scales of this acorn cap tend to be rather loose on the edges, almost look like shingles flaking off of a roof. Next up is northern red oak, and this species can be found on a variety of sites, but is typically on more upland sites. You can see that they have quite large acorns, but even in variation in size, we can see that the acorn cap just sits on the very top of the acorn, almost look like a little beret on top of a head. And then finally, as we mentioned, shingle oak, no lobes on the leaves, and a very small acorn that's very dark once it matures. And so take a look when you see those leaves for the bristle tips, check out the acorns, look at the bark, and also take a good field guide with you, and that'll help you with identification of the various members of the red oak group.